welcome to Garden Style. So today I'm going to be covering red foliage that you can add to your garden right now here in the fall. I decided to do red foliage because we've talked a lot about variegated foliage and greens as well as blue, but I haven't really touched on the dark reds that you can add to your garden. And I have several specimens here that I want to talk about. But first of all, just wanted to let you guys know that I am happy to be back. I have spent most of my month of August just traveling. That is what we do here in the nursery business, is we've already purchased everything that we want to see in our nurseries for next spring, believe it or not. So finally got the traveling over with, 3 states later, several nurseries, several seminars, and I'm finally able to get back to you folks and start cluing you in on some new plants that we've received here in the nursery. And I thought I would start with the dark red foliage first. Now, if you don't know this already, fall is one of the perfect times. It's even better than spring when it comes to planting your trees and shrubs. So I'm going to be covering a lot of different shrubs that you can plant from now until your first frost date, depending on where you live. For us here in Zone 8, we won't really see a hard frost until about the middle of November. So that gives us a good 8 weeks to get things in, planted, and established, well before we see any kind of heat by the following year. And for some reason, the plants just seem to do better, especially up here where I live, where our ground doesn't freeze. Might be a different story if you live in Zone 6 and below. But all they can say is if you've got some time before your first frost date, which you can easily Google and find out when your first frost date is where you live, take the time and get your trees and shrubs in. This is the perfect time to do it. So the first specimen I'm going to talk about, I have right here next to me. Let's see if I can get them out here for you. And this is called a Ninebark. And this particular variety is called Center Glow. And I'm going to flash a picture in the corner for you because I know here in the camera it's really hard to see. But I really like this particular Ninebark, not only because it gets blooms in the early summer, but it gets these new growth on it that's just kind of this coppery red, and it's just stunning, especially if it's out in the garden and you put it up against like lime greens or even the blue, like a Colorado blue spruce. They really show each other off. But this particular Ninebark will get about 8 feet high and about 6 feet wide. So you want to leave it in an area where it has plenty of room to spread out. But I adore these shrubs, not only because they're tough. In fact, this one is extremely hardy. It's hardy down to Zone 2 to Zone 8. And that's pretty cold. That's about minus 50 degrees if you live in Zone 2. So that gives you an idea just how resilient these particular shrubs are. Now you can prune these, but I recommend that you prune them right after they're done blooming. They get these beautiful like bouquet blooms, which you'll see in the picture in the corner there. And then they suddenly take over with this new growth, with this beautiful coppery new growth on their tips. And then, this is where it really kicks in, is at this time of the year the leaves will start to turn and they start to get this beautiful coppery orange color, and it's just amazing when it's sitting out in the middle of the garden. So this is a great background plant or in the middle of the garden type plant. And I have so much green, lime green and variegated leaves that it's time for me to start adding some darker leaves, red foliage to the garden. Now anything in a dark color will have a tendency to recede in the garden, and anything with a bright color of course will bring everything forward. So I like putting these in the middle of the garden where it adds some depth and a little bit of height to out into the foliage garden. So Ninebark, and they call it Ninebark because as they get older you'll notice that the bark starts to peel a little bit on its stems, which adds even more interest during the winter time, which by the way, its stems stay red in the winter, so when it drops its leaves you still got a beautiful winter interest with this particular shrub. So Copper Glow Ninebark. Recommend you go out and grab these as soon as you can. Okay, so that's one. And then I brought a little guy with me right here, and this is actually a Barberry, and it's a miniature version. Most of your Barberries will get about 6 to 8 feet tall, and you find them in lots of red foliage. You can find them in lime green, but this is a new one that we've received in at the nursery, and this is called Barbary Admiration. Now I've had him sitting on the side of the house for a couple of weeks, so he's lost a little bit of his color because he wasn't out in full sun. But I'll flash a picture down there and you'll see just how stunning the foliage can be on these particular shrubs. Now he stays small. He'll only get about 24 inches high by about 24 inches wide, so he's perfect for the front of the border. He's also deciduous. He's going to lose his leaves in the wintertime, but before then, in the fall, as you can see in the picture, they're absolutely amazing, and they have this lime green margin on the outsides of their leaves, and they get this coppery orange color to them. They're just absolutely stunning. So I've purchased several of these. As you can see behind me, I finally have a new fence installed, and you guys are going to kind of be following along with me between now and next spring to see where I'm putting some of these plants. And I have a huge area over here in the backyard that I'm going to be planting as well. So you folks get the joy of watching me do this as I start to develop along the fence where we've had to clear a lot out. But this particular variety is also pretty hardy. It's hardy down to zone 4 through zone 8. And again, it stays really small. It's only about 24 inches tall by 24 inches wide. And it's called Admiration. But I had to throw him in there just because he's such a cutie. He's just a real cute shrub to put in the garden. And then I saved the best for last. I have always loved these. And this is called a Blacklace Elderberry. Look at the foliage on that. It's real lacy, just stunning and absolutely gorgeous. And it also blooms in the early summer. And this guy is just a youngster at the moment. He didn't have any blooms on him this year just because he was so new to the nursery. But by next year, he'll get these gorgeous bouquet type blooms, which you'll see in the picture. They'll put on the corner there for you. And afterwards, it's followed by berries, thus its name, Elderberry. And this is another one that's pretty hardy. This guy's hardy from zone 4 to zone 8. And he can get up to 10 feet tall. So, and they have this beautiful like fountain effect once they get established. So you want to give these guys some room. But what a beautiful texture to add to the garden. Gets pretty good sized, I'll give you that. But it rewards you with these beautiful blooms in the summertime, and then is followed by berries. And again, the foliage here will get kind of a bronzy color during the fall as the temperature starts to drop. So it's another shrub I'm really looking forward to adding to the garden, not only for its texture, but for the color. Just love these deep burgundy red leaves that it gets on it. It's just stunning, absolutely stunning. So he looks pretty innocent now, but he won't be. He's going to get pretty tall. That's exactly what I need, especially up against a white fence or any type of background where it can contrast, like a light green background, for instance, or even blue. If you have Colorado blue spruce or another blue type fir tree in your yard, these would be great contrast with that. And they can be a specimen plant all by themselves. So this particular variety is called Blacklace. They also come in like a lime green as well, so you can get them in either color. And I have plenty of lime green. It was time for me to get started on putting some darker foliage out in the garden. So there you go. There's some specimens for you to go look for in your nursery if it's reds that you're looking for to add to your repertoire out in the garden. And there's so much more to come. Fall, I get excited all over again. It's probably my second most favorite time of the year because now the heat is over, we're not watering quite as much, and we can finally get back to planting. And this is my time of the year to plant most of my trees and shrubs, is right now here in the fall. We're lucky enough here in Zone 8 where everything can get itself good and established. You may not see a lot of activity on top during the winter time, but there's a lot of activity going on underneath, which is great. It's getting its roots in. And by next spring and summer, it'll be pretty much established and ready to go, so I don't have to baby it quite as much as if I were to wait till next spring to put it in. So there you go, you guys. And of course, if you have any questions at all, you can get a hold of me at gardenstylenwest@gmail.com. My website is starting to merge with my nursery's website, which is sunnycrestnursery.com. So if you want to access my videos from there, you can. Of course, you can always visit me here on YouTube. And of course, any questions, comments, you can leave those in the description box down below. But I miss talking with you folks, and I'm going to do my best to stay in touch now that I'm finally in town and getting back in the yard. All right, you guys, hope you're looking forward to fall. It's just around the corner. I can't believe it. And let's get out there and get our hands dirty. All right, you guys, have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.